Begin by cutting the plastic straps to open the bike box. Once open, remove the accessory box and place it to the side. Then, remove the 4 white clips located on the lower part of the box. With the assistance of a friend, remove the top of the box to reveal the bike. With the assistance of someone who can safely lift the bike, carefully remove the e-bike from the box. Hold your Pace force steady while pushing down the kickstand to keep your e-bike upright. Now remove the protective packaging. Use caution when removing the handlebars and while cutting the plastic ties to ensure that the bike and its components are not damaged. Use a 4mm hex wrench to loosen the stem faceplate bolts and rotate the stem out of the handlebar. Remove the stem cap rubber cover, loosen and remove the top cap and bolt using a 5mm hex wrench, and discard the cardboard spacer. Position the stem on the fork steer tube, ensuring both the fork and the handlebar are oriented properly. Reinstall the top cap and tighten it in place using a 5mm hex wrench to preload the headset. Tighten the bolt enough to ensure that there is no play in the steering, yet still allowing for free movement when turning the handlebars side to side. Position the handlebar to the same angle as the fork or to rider preference. Then tighten the faceplate bolts in an X pattern using the 4mm hex wrench. Tighten the bolts to 6 Nm. Remove the brake pad spacer and the plastic fork protector. Note: do not squeeze the brake lever before installing the front wheel. Loosen the front axle nuts and guide the front wheel into the fork. Confirm that the front brake rotor is aligned between the brake pads of the caliper and that the axle is fully seated into the dropouts. Tighten the axle nut using a 15mm open-end wrench to a torque of 30 to 35 Nm. Once tightened, double-check that the wheel is still centered between the fork. Remove your headlight assembly from the accessory box. Using a 4mm hex wrench, loosen and remove the headlight pivot bolt from the bracket on the stem faceplate. Install the headlight bolt and securely tighten the headlight in place using the 4mm hex wrench. Connect the headlight cable by aligning the arrows and firmly pressing the connection together. Ensure that the display and throttle are connected as well. The plug should be firmly pressed into the display ports with the arrows aligned with the markings above the ports. Align the stem and handlebar assembly to be straight with the front wheel. Use a 4mm hex wrench to tighten the stem clamping bolts. Torque each bolt to 6 Nm. The right pedal, marked with an R, which has standard clockwise thread, and the left pedal, marked with an L, has reverse counterclockwise thread. Apply a small amount of grease to both threads. Now, thread the left side pedal into the left side crank arm by hand. Use either a 6mm hex key or a 15mm open-end wrench to fully tighten the pedal, turning counterclockwise. Thread the right side pedal into the right side crank arm by hand. Use either a 6mm hex key or a 15mm open-end wrench to fully tighten the pedal, turning clockwise. Remove the plastic protective cover on the rear axle. If a piece breaks off, carefully use a pair of needle nose pliers to remove that piece. Install the rubber motor axle protection guards on each side, firmly pressing them over the rear axle nuts. The left side cover is located in the accessory box. Open the quick release clamp to remove the seat post. The suspension seat post has a preload adjustment that can be set to the rider preference. To adjust the preload of the suspension seat post, use a 6mm hex wrench on the bottom end and turn clockwise to increase the preload or counterclockwise to reduce the preload. Note: this adjustment applies to all Aventon suspension seat posts. Reinstall the seat post to the rider's desired height. Do not raise the seat post higher than the minimum insertion line. When securing the seat post, ensure that the saddle is aligned parallel with the frame of the bike. Close the quick release clamp firmly to secure the seat in place. To charge the battery, plug the charger cable into the charge port on the battery. Be sure to plug the bike in first and then into the wall outlet. Once powered, the light on the charging brick will turn from green to red once it begins to charge. Once the indicator light turns green again, the battery is fully charged. Note: when removing the plug from the battery, you must press the release lever on the charging tip. Press and hold the power button for 3 seconds to turn on the display. Hold the plus and minus buttons simultaneously for 3 seconds to access the settings menu. To remove the battery, select the battery lock option by pressing the center button, and then press the center button again to eject the battery. The display will power off and the battery will eject. To install the battery, insert the bottom end first, then tilt the top into the bike. Press down firmly and an audible click should be heard. The battery will sit flush with the frame. To activate your front and rear lights, hold down the plus button for 3 seconds. To turn them off, hold the plus button down once again. Press the left or right arrows to engage either turn signal. To cancel, press the same arrow button again, or simply wait 15 seconds and the signal will self-cancel. To pair your bike and activate the 4G service, power on the bike by holding down the power button, then press and hold the plus and minus buttons simultaneously for 3 seconds to access the settings menu. Scroll down on the menu and select Connect to App. You will see a QR code appear on the display. Open the Aventon app and press Pair. Scan the QR code with your phone and select Pair Now. You can then name your bike and choose a bike to display on your home app screen. Press Save to access the app home screen. If a firmware update is available, a pop-up will appear to prompt the update. Press Update Now and allow the bike firmware to be updated. You can also check for available updates by pressing the More Settings button, scrolling down, and pressing Update Firmware. Once the firmware is up to date, a pop-up will appear to activate the IoT service. Select Agree and activate the IoT service. You can also activate the IoT service by pressing the More Settings button, scrolling down, and pressing the IoT service. For more information on using the Aventon app, check out our how-to videos. Enjoy riding your new Pace 4.